Hi everyone, this video is on the topic national emergency. So, India is a federal country. Federal means the powers they are divided between different levels of government. Or we can say the powers are divided between the central government and the state governments. But during the situation of an emergency, these powers they get concentrated in the hands of the central authority. That means we get converted from a federal system to a unitary system. This is the reason Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has called the Indian federal system as unique, because it becomes entirely unitary during an emergency. This concept of emergency, we have borrowed it from Weimar Constitution of Germany. And these emergency provisions, they are mentioned in part 18 of our constitution from articles 352 to 360. Now, what is the meaning of emergency? Emergency means a serious event that needs immediate action, or that means needs immediate attention. So, when an emergency arises in a country, that means a serious event has arisen and it needs immediate action. That means we cannot run the country as we run it in normal situations. So, during emergency, in order to give that immediate attention, we or in order to implement those immediate actions, we have given the powers to the central authority. And what are those powers, what provisions we follow in the situation of emergency? They are mentioned in part 18 of our constitution. So there are three kinds of emergencies: national emergency, state emergency, and financial emergency. National emergency is also called proclamation of emergency, and state emergency is also called president's rule, and financial emergency, it is called financial emergency only. Next is, what is national emergency? If a president is satisfied that the security of India or any part of India is threatened by war, external aggression, or armed rebellion, then he can make a proclamation and declare national emergency. अगर प्रेसिडेंट को लगता है कि इंडिया की सिक्योरिटी या इंडिया के किसी पार्ट की सिक्योरिटी थ्रेटेंड है due to war, external aggression, or armed rebellion, then he can declare national emergency. Now, we said if the president is satisfied, this is not the personal satisfaction of the president. That means it is the satisfaction of the cabinet which is headed by the prime minister. So if the cabinet advises the president in written form to declare national emergency, then only the president can declare national emergency. So the written advice of the cabinet is referred to as the satisfaction of the president. Now, this proclamation of emergency can be made even before the actual occurrence of war or any such aggression or rebellion. That means it is not necessary that to declare national emergency, such aggression or war or rebellion should have been already started. So even before these things have actually occurred or started, national emergency can be declared. Now, after this national emergency is declared, till what time period can it continue? So, it can continue for a period of 1 month from the date of declaration. But if within that 1 month period it is approved by both the houses of the parliament, which are Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, by a special majority, then it can continue for another period of 6 months. That means in order to continue the national emergency for more than 1 month period, we have to get the approval of both the houses of the parliament by a special majority. So this way we can continue this national emergency for an indefinite period, but we have to get the approval of both the houses of the parliament for 6 months period each time. Now, once once this national emergency is declared, we need the approval of both the houses of the parliament. But what if Lok Sabha gets dissolved, or within this 1 month period, Lok Sabha is dissolved. So how will we get the approval of the Lok Sabha? So in this kind of situation, once the Lok Sabha gets reconstituted, obviously once the Lok Sabha is dissolved, obviously it will get reconstituted at some point of time. So once the Lok Sabha gets reconstituted and its first sitting takes place, from that first sitting 30 days period is counted, and from within those 30 days it has to be approved by the Lok Sabha. But in the meantime, it has to be approved by the Rajya Sabha. That means even if the Lok Sabha is dissolved, Rajya Sabha has to do its own. Rajya Sabha has to give its own approval, because Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. It does not get dissolved. So even if Lok Sabha is dissolved, Rajya Sabha still has to give its approval with that 1 month period. But Lok Sabha, it can give its approval within the 1 month period after it gets reconstituted and its first sitting takes place. Now we have studied how national emergency can be approved by both the houses of the parliament. Now we will take a look on how national emergency can be revoked, how it can be stopped. So there are two ways. First is if the president is satisfied that the threats on the basis of which national emergency was declared, if those threats they do not exist anymore, then he can issue another proclamation and national emergency can be revoked. But another way is by Lok Sabha. It says that if 1/10 of the total members of Lok Sabha, they give a written notice to the president or to the speaker. It will be given to the president if the house is not in session, and to the speaker if the house is in session. So if 1/10 of the total majority of Lok Sabha, if they give a written notice to the president or to the speaker with the intention of revoking the national emergency, then a special session of Lok Sabha will be called within 14 days. And in that session, a resolution for revoking national emergency has to be passed with a simple majority. So this way national emergency can be revoked. So if 1/10 of the members of Lok Sabha, they give a written notice to the president or to the speaker, then a special session of Lok Sabha will be called within 14 days. And in that session, if a resolution is passed by simple majority, then emergency stands revoked. Now changes by 44th Amendment Act. So some provisions were changed by 44th Amendment Act. First is grounds. Before 44th Amendment Act, the grounds on which national emergency could be proclaimed were war, external aggression, and internal disturbance. But since this ground of internal disturbance was very vague, it was not clear about what what things will come under internal disturbance and what not. So this ground was changed from internal disturbance to armed rebellion. Next is written confirmation by the cabinet. Earlier, the president could declare national emergency only on the basis of oral advice of the prime minister. But now it is changed to the written advice of the cabinet. Next is special majority. Before 44th Amendment Act, the approval of both the houses of the parliament to approve national emergency could be done by simple majority. But now it has to be approved by special majority. Next is 1 month period. Earlier, once the national emergency was declared, it could continue for 2 months period, and within those 2 months, it has to be approved by the parliament. But now it has been changed to 1 month period. That means once the national emergency is declared, it can exist only for 1 month period and not for 2 months period. So the approval of the parliament has to be given within 1 month. Next is periodic review. So if national emergency has to be continued indefinitely, it has to be reviewed after a period of 6 months by both the houses of the parliament. If they give their approval, only then we can continue it for another 6 months period. Next is that Lok Sabha, it can revoke national emergency by giving a written notice to president or to the speaker, which we have already discussed. That provision was also added by 44th Amendment Act. Next is effects. Now, when a national emergency is declared, our fundamental rights are affected. Center-state relations, they are affected. Life of Lok Sabha and state assemblies are affected. So we will be studying what are those effects. First is effects on fundamental rights. Here we will be studying two articles, Articles 358 and 359. So first Article 358. Under Article 358, once national emergency is declared, are fundamental rights which are given to us by Article 19, they get automatically suspended. So that means जैसे ही national emergency declare होएगी, हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स अंडर आर्टिकल 19 जो मिले हैं हमें, वो ऑटोमेटिकली सस्पेंड हो जाएंगे. कोई भी अलग से नोटिस नहीं निकलेगा to suspend the fundamental rights under Article 19. In fact, they will be automatically suspended. खुद से ही suspend हो जाएंगे. But the 44th Amendment Act, it has made one change with respect to Article 358. It says that fundamental rights under Article 19 can only be suspended if the national emergency is declared on the grounds of war and external aggression only. That means if national emergency is declared on the grounds of armed rebellion, then in those circumstances, fundamental rights under Article 19 cannot be suspended. Now, Article 359. Under this article, enforcement of fundamental rights is suspended, and they are not automatically suspended. In fact, the president is authorized to suspend those enforcement of fundamental rights, and only those fundamental rights enforcement will be suspended which are mentioned in the presidential order. So that means under Article 359, the president has been authorized to suspend our enforcement of fundamental rights. That means enforcement of fundamental rights means हम कोर्ट नहीं जा सकते हमारी फंडामेंटल राइट्स को एनफोर्स कराने के लिए अंडर आर्टिकल 359. Now, 44th Amendment Act has made one change with respect to Article 359 also. It says that the fundamental rights which are guaranteed by Article 20 and 21, those two articles enforcement cannot be suspended under Article 359. Now, effects on the center-state relations. What are the effects on executive? So, while national emergency is existing, in those circumstances, the center, it gets entitled to give executive directions to the states on any matter. Next is legislative, the state list on which only the state can make laws on the subjects which are mentioned in the state list. Normally we see that only the state government can make laws on that list, but in the case of emergency, the parliament, it gets empowered to make laws on that subjects which are mentioned in the state list. And if the parliament is not in session, then the president can even pass ordinance on the subjects which are mentioned in the state list. Next is financial. So normally the financial resources, they are divided between both the governments, but in the situation of emergency, these financial distribution of resources, it can be modified according to the circumstances that are existing at that point of time. Next is effects on the life of Lok Sabha and State Assembly. So while national emergency is proclaimed, the life of Lok Sabha, it can be extended beyond the normal term for 1 year at a time. एक बार के लिए सिर्फ 1 साल के लिए हम एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं. Also, the same is in the case of state legislative assembly. Their term can also be extended for 1 year at a time. Next is case study. So while the national emergency was declared by Indira Gandhi government back in 1970s, some cases they were uh, they existed in those times. In fact, in those cases, various draconian constitutional amendment they were declared unconstitutional. So now we will be studying those cases, and we will be studying what those constitutional amendment acts were and why they were declared unconstitutional. So first is Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narayan. In this case, the 39th Constitutional Amendment Act 1975 was challenged. In this 39th Constitutional Amendment Act, it was stated that any election matter relating to the president, vice president, prime minister, or speaker of Lok Sabha, those election matters are beyond judicial scrutiny. That means those election matters cannot be brought in before the court. So the judgment given was that this constitutional amendment is unconstitutional because it violates the basic features of our constitution, which is separation of powers and which is free and fair elections. We say we practice free and fair elections since we are the largest democracy in the world. Then these kind of amendments, this 39th constitutional amendment, they are clearly against such things that like free and fair elections that we follow. It is clearly violating those things. And also we say there is a separation of powers, which is also an essential, which is also the basic feature of our constitution. We say there are three organs of the government: legislature, executive, and judiciary. And the powers, they are all separated in these three organs. They cannot, these organs, they cannot intervene in the parts of each organ. So there is a separation, there is clear distinction. But through this amendment, the parliament, it was trying to take away the powers of the judiciary, which is the exclusive jurisdiction of the judiciary. It is the exclusive jurisdiction of the judiciary to hear cases. So through this amendment, the parliament was saying that the court cannot hear these election matters. But no, this is the jurisdiction of the judiciary, the third organ of our government, to hear cases. You cannot take away this thing from the judiciary. So this was declared unconstitutional because it was against the basic structure of the constitution. It was against free and fair elections. Also, one important point to be noted here is that the judgment which was given in the Keshwanand Bharti case regarding basic structure of the constitution, this was the first case in which that basic feature judgment was applied. Next is Minerva Mills versus Union of India. In this case, some provisions of 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 were challenged. Those provisions declared that the power of the parliament to amend the constitution, which is given to it under Article 368, they said that this power to amend the constitution is unlimited. That means the parliament can amend whatever provisions of the constitution it wishes to amend. Also, these amendments cannot be challenged in the court. Now again, this was declared as unconstitutional because it again violates the basic features of our constitution. Two important sections, they were discussed in this case: section 55 and section 4. Under section 55, the thing which we have already discussed about the amendment power of the parliament, which is under Article 368, it was declared unconstitutional. Section 55 it said that the power of the parliament under Article 368 is unlimited, but the court said that no, this power of the parliament to change the constitution or to amend the constitution, it is limited. It is limited by the basic structure of the constitution. That means the parliament is not allowed to even touch the basic structure of the constitution, because because those basic features, they cannot be changed at all, not even by the parliament. So this amending power of the parliament under Article 368 is limited. It is not unlimited. So this provision was declared unconstitutional and void. Next is the section 4. In section 4, the parliament, it amended Article 31(6) of the constitution, and they tried to accord precedence to the directive principles of state policy, which are in part 4, over the fundamental rights, which are in part 3. But the court declared it unconstitutional. They said giving primacy to one thing, that is to DPSPs over fundamental rights, is like shaking the foundations of the constitution. The court said that our constitution is based on harmonious balance which exists between DPSPs and fundamental rights, and changing this balance or shaking this balance will destroy the foundations of our democracy. Also, this it destroys the basic structure of our constitution. Fundamental rights and DPSPs are basic part of basic features of our constitution. So implementing DPSPs does not mean violating fundamental rights. DPSPs are to be implemented without violating fundamental rights. You cannot give importance to DPSPs over fundamental rights, because they are on the same level. They exist within a harmonious balance, so it cannot be changed. So it was also declared unconstitutional. So this was all about national emergency. I hope it is clear. Thank you so much.